Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody. It's December. It's the December update. And who knew that Gary and I right now would have been chasing autumn?
Beautiful ginkgo leaves. Yes, ginkgo, a 15 million year old species. Boy, talk about rubbing elbows with champions. This tree has been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. And so here we are in Georgia, of all places. You can probably tell.
Yes, not in Montana.
Not Montana. We got in Pearl the van, our new best friend, and drove through. Where all did we drive?
South Dakota, the Badlands of South Dakota, Missouri and Tennessee, and well, 2,000 miles later, here we are.
Yeah, here we are. And by the time we got to Missouri, there was still some leftover color. Wow, that was great. And then we got down to Kentucky, into the land between the lakes.
Yeah.
And there was really pretty vivid color. And now we're here, and it's crazy. They're still doing autumn big time down here in Georgia.
So with changing seasons and winter coming on, we've been thinking about rhythms. Big rhythms, small rhythms, the rhythms of our lives. We've talked before about how life on Earth is an exchange between beings and between the atmosphere and the biosphere and whatnot, but it's also about rhythms.
Yeah, and part of what we have run across as we've been really delving into, and if you've had a chance to look at the full Ecology book, you know this, and listening to these updates, we've been looking at this that we do as humans, which is to think ourselves separate from the natural world. And there are a lot of reasons that we do that, and it's not very helpful. It's kind of a significant part of what's gotten us into this mess with climate change. And so part of that separate thinking has been to act as if, to set up our everyday lives as if we're not affected by these rhythms. But you've been learning a lot about that.
Yeah, there are these small rhythms. They're called ultradian rhythms. They're about 90 minutes long, and they're with us throughout the day. So in a given 90-minute period, your brain and your body has a certain level of energy, and then it really needs to take a breath and pause and rest. This happens to determine what stage of sleep you're in as well, these ultradian rhythms. And then there's circadian rhythms, which of course have to do with your melatonin being set by the sunlight. Mary and I have been, as of late, taking the advice of some neuroscientists and exposing our eyes to unglassed visions of the sunrise, whether it's cloudy or not, first thing in the morning for a couple of minutes, and then in the evening when the sun's setting. And the first sets our hormones that activate our ability to pay attention and move through the day, and the evening exposure to that different angle of light, it turns out, sets our melatonin, which allows us to sleep. And then there are the big rhythms that are with us through the entire year. And living in the northern latitudes, we have all kinds of hormonal cycles that actually are driven by how much light there is. And so it's a kind of a cosmic thought to think that because of the tilt of the Earth, we really have our perception of life, and our ability to live our lives as we want is determined by the cosmos.
Yes, and so here in this tilt in the northern hemisphere, it's getting dark and we're slowing down, and some of you may be sleeping more. In fact, it seems like that's not a bad plan, to sleep more this time of year, to slow down, to draw in. Many of the cultures of this land have gone into storytelling time this time of year, and quieted and become more reflective.
So there are all of these shifts that come in this winter time, this storytelling time, this introspective time. And it isn't all introspective. I mean, the testosterone levels tend to spike in males in January and August, and estrogen-related hormones spike in women at roughly the same time. And so there's all kinds of things that drive our desires and our lives, our energy levels, our tendency to be quiet and contemplative, or to be out there and agentic. And it's tied to the fact that we're living in this magnificent cosmos.
So here we are once again with evidence that we are nature in nature, that we are very influenced by the seasons and very influenced by the angle of light. we're speaking from the northern hemisphere, and when we're in Montana, we're way further into the northern hemisphere. And if you were along the equator right now, it would be different. The way the seasons move is not quite as dramatic. And yet our bodies really are affected by that. And we see it not just in humans, and we see a lot of evidence of it in humans, and we try to override it, but we also see it in animals.
Absolutely.
But let's go back to that override bit. We try to override it with being overproductive, over keyed in,
Yeah.
and we can go nuts in the wintertime because we're being told to speed up, even as our whole being is wanting to slow down.
And if you try to push through these natural rhythms, even those shorter 90-minute ultradian rhythms we talked about earlier, where you don't give yourself enough rest or pause after you've had an intense period of focus, and you push through by essentially creating higher levels of cortisol and other stress hormones, which will allow you to keep your energy up, there's a cost for that. There's a toxic residual from doing that, and we will pay the price with our physical health. Mary and I have often talked about how important it is to just learn to feel what's a reality in a given moment, as far as, do I need to pause? Do I need to take a break? Do I need to disengage from what I'm doing so I can come back in 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes and be sharper again? Our bodies will tell us if we listen.
And so you can see how this has immediate impact on things like our sleep.
Yeah.
And it certainly has impact on our mood. And in these days when we're using this language of self-care so much, it's really kind of an important invitation that full ecology has given us to go back to that question Gary was just talking about. What is it that's going on in me and in the natural world that can help me know how to be now? And we have so much healing to do because we've oriented ourselves towards signs from what we call our social ecologies. But those social ecologies are way, seduced into the separate thinking mode. And thus we find ourselves in this overstimulated, too much cortisol in our systems. This isn't going to change fast, but we can start considering it. We can start, this is how beautiful we are. Now, we just are, and we miss that. We miss that in ourselves, and we miss that in each other when we forget and live outside of the fact that we are nature in nature as nature.
It really becomes a lot easier to make bad choices when you've embraced the notion that we're separate from the natural world, that we don't operate by the same sort of magnificent systems in the web of exchanges that drive all life on this planet. Then, we may think we're all powerful, but in fact, we're just simply not paying attention to the things that are going to keep us healthy and allow us to be the best we can be in any given moment.
And please understand that Gary and I are learning this right alongside you. We did have the opportunity to write the book, Full Ecology, and that brings us close to that content because we think about it a lot. But this is a process that all of us are in here together, and we have this great opportunity to increasingly be part of the solution instead of part of the problem, especially relative to climate breakdown.
So we're going to be talking about this more in our deep dive on December 14th.
Yes, from 6 to 6:45 on that Tuesday evening. It's the second Tuesday in December, and so we'll look forward to seeing you there. We'll be sending out a notice. If you are not on our mailing list, you can check our website at fullecology.com, or you can write us at connect@fullecology.com. And both of those, and especially, you can always write us and ask us questions, but you can especially check the website for this other thing that we want you to know. Since here we are in the holiday season, if you want to give yourself or someone you really love an extra special gift, we're offering 2 retreats in this springtime. One's from May 15th to 19th, and it will be in Yellowstone. Come join us there.
In Yellowstone, hanging out with the grizzlies and the wolves and the elk and the pronghorn, and many of them just having new little ones running around at that time too. We'll see a lot, we'll learn a lot from those beautiful creatures, and we'll also learn a lot about how we're connected to each other, all of us. So you couldn't ask for a more dynamic backdrop than the Lamar Valley, which is where we'll spend some of our time.
And then in June for the solstice, we're coming up on the winter solstice now, and by June we'll be in a different rhythm in our bodies. And the summer solstice, we will be in the Centennial Valley of Montana.
With Red Rock Lakes National Wildlife Refuge, where trumpeter swans and other magnificent waterfowl and other birds spend part of the year. It really is a magical place that not many people get a chance to see, and we're going to have an intensive retreat there,
Yeah.
kind of checking out who we are given all we've been through lately.
Right. It's a really focused on full ecology and how can we reclaim the fullness of our ecologies here now. By then, who knows what will be going on. We don't know where we'll be with COVID. We don't know where we'll be with a lot of things. But we will be together there asking that question, who are we now? And where do we want to go from here?
And you'll get a chance to touch that beautiful earth, and that earth will definitely be touching you. So check them
it
out.
Yeah, check out both of those on our website and learn more by looking into the Centennial Valley. And of course, you can also find Yellowstone on the internet. Yeah.
You can. And until the next time on the 14th of December, when we'll hopefully see you for the deep dive, be well, travel safe, and pay attention to all those good rhythms flowing through your life in a given day.
Yeah, especially here in the darkness as we move towards winter solstice and then beyond that. We will see you again for the January update, and we wish you all the very best in this season of magic and dark mystery.
Take good care.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.